Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Hope you're well, hope you're looking after yourself still on this pretty rainy, miserable Thursday afternoon. Obviously game day tonight, hope you're looking forward to that anyway. Got a really intriguing video now to talk about around Richarlison and still the interest in him from the Saudi Arabian League. So I'll give you all the details and as to what Spurs would want from a deal, as well as an update around Spurs rejecting an approach from Swansea for assistant manager Chris Davies and what that would mean really for Spurs had we let him go, or now that he's staying, what impact does that have? So we'll talk about both. Just want to say, if you're new, subscribe to the channel. Very much appreciated joining us for the journey. You know who you are. There you go. You done it. Appreciate that. Now let's jump in. Let's talk Richarlison. So it came from Graham Bailey in 90-Minute Football, who said that Richarlison remains a Saudi Pro League transfer target despite Tottenham's stance. So, backstory before I tell you the next part. I probably said it a little while ago, we spoke about Richarlison and how there was interest from Saudi Arabia, but Richarlison didn't want to go. And then a few days to a week later, Richarlison eased that stance and said he wouldn't mind going because he doesn't have as much of an emotional connection to Tottenham, which is understandable when you think about it. All the other clubs he's been at, he's kind of been the big fish in the small pond, you know, and that's no dig, by the way. Before someone hears this and go, what are you on about? He was the main guy at Everton. He was the main guy at Watford. That's what I meant, okay? He did very well at all his previous clubs. The reason why he had big money moves is because he was doing well. And, you know, it hasn't really worked out at Spurs. There's been some injuries. We've changed coaches. You know, there's a lot that has gone on in this time. And that's why I don't kind of rule out any player having a good career at Spurs, because you look at the last few years and the turmoil we've been through, the amount of, Contes and Nunos and Mourinhos and Masons, and I think even at one point I coached Spurs, probably did terrible and probably got sacked after about a game, but that's not here nor there, all right? But the thing is, you've got to give people a fair chance. That's where I look at it, People kind of go, Lo Celso's rubbish, he's crap, he's this, that, the other. Well, he's played 2 games in this whole new system and he's looked pretty decent in those 2 games. People want to write off Brian Hill and he's played 2 games in this new system. I've said, look, give a player 5 or 6 games to actually see what he can do. You might not be a fan of some players, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's certain players, and I think in this squad that are good players, but Spurs should move on from. I've said, probably up to 10 names, Some of them you might look at as controversial. I don't, because I think I set my standards a little bit higher on these certain things. I'm also realistic to know they don't just all leave in one chance window. You're going to be carrying a few of these people for 2 or 3 chance windows because you won't be able to move everyone on. So when it comes to Richarlison, look, you're going to see Richarlison be playing number 9 next month, because when Son goes off to international duty, that's the backup striker. I know as much as people think Alejo Veliz is the backup striker, I don't see him being the backup striker yet. I see Richarlison being that, and if things aren't going well in the game, then you might see a little bit more of a Alejo Veliz. So look, I think left wing in this system might not suit Richie. Maybe striker will, and we'll see. We'll see. He's only just come back from injury. We're probably going to see, 20 to 30 minutes for Richarlison potentially tonight against West Ham. Basically building him up and gearing him up to starting games really from January onwards for a little while, because Son might be gone for about a month to 6 weeks, maybe even 2 months. You never know. So, we've got to just be a bit more realistic on this, So let's talk about the report a little bit. It came from 90 Minutes again and said that Daniel Levy will demand his money back for the Brazilian, even though his reputation has taken a battering at Tottenham. The attacker, striker, remains under contract until the summer of 2027, which does put Spurs in a strong position to demand a decent fee. Richarlison also earns a salary of around 90,000. Well, that last part's a moot point, because 90,000 to Saudi Arabia is like 10p to me, which by the way is mad. That is actually mad, that kind of money. But, when you look at, a lot of times you have to sort out and pay out someone's contract and things like that. Hell, if you told Saudi Arabia to do it, they'd probably just buy his contract out. They're not that fussed about that kind of money, On the fact that Spurs want their money back, we're looking at 60 million if that's the case. That's what we want. Well, that's what Daniel Levy wants. I think you'd probably see him being a bit flexible, maybe get him to 50 million on that. I know that Saudi Arabia were touted with £40 million move. I think they could go more than that. You know, he's mid-20s, so he'd be around in Saudi Arabia for a while if you want him to be. His wages aren't crazy high, so it's not you're not gonna have to pay him like Neymar or Ronaldo or Benzema wages. He's open to the move. So yeah, if they want him at 60 million, I think Spurs would run away with 60 million because they'd go, well, great, we've got holes to fill in this squad. Let's go and get a left winger to replace him. Why don't we get a centre mid and defender? And, you know, before you know it, you spread that 60 million out. It's what, you know, we did with Kane. It's what West Ham did with Rice. It's what teams do when they sell a mate. Coutinho at Liverpool, they moved Coutinho when they brought Van Dijk and Alisson in. That was a hell of a move for them, you know. So it's something that could be smart, and you could look to take that 60 million and get in 3 players. You know, you get one player who's a little bit cheaper. You can spend then 20-25 on 2 other players, and boom, you're away you go. You've got some depth now. You've got better depth at least, not just depth. Depth for depth's sake isn't always the best thing. Good quality depth is another story. Let's talk Chris Davies, okay? So Chris Davies, if you're not aware, is the assistant manager at Tottenham. He's been a coach in and around British football for a while. He was a coach at Swansea, I believe. He was a coach at Leicester with Brendan Rodgers. I think he might have been a coach at Celtic, I think. Don't hold me to that one. But it came to Dan Kilpatrick in the Standard, who said that Tottenham have rejected an approach from Swansea for assistant manager Chris Davies. Now, the reason why I think this is a very big thing to cover, and yes, people kind of sit there and all, you know, this isn't a dig at everyone, but, you know, a lot of people only care about chances. They don't really care about, you know, matches as much. They care about chances because that's what they get excited by. And you know what? If that's what gets you excited, have at it. When it comes to these sort of things, I think these things are just as important, if not even more important. He's got invaluable knowledge of the Premier League. He's got invaluable knowledge of, you know, the Championship and things like that. You know, he has got some knowledge that Ange doesn't have. Ange has not been, before Spurs, has not been a Premier League manager. He's been in the SPL, fine, but he's not been a Premier League manager. You know, he's been here since July, August time. It's about 4.5, 5 months that he's really been here for. You know, he's still learning. He's still learning every single day. You know, that's why he's so important. It's why Mile Jedinak is so important. You know, you don't see him on the bench because he's upstairs, you know, watching the game from a bit more of a bird's eye view to kind of watch everything and bring in a bit more of a data style coaching to that, which I really like. And I think Mile, the fact that he was an ex-Premier League player for so long, you know, it is really important. You look at Ryan Mason, he's been a manager in the Premier League. He's been a coach for a while now in the Premier League. He's got ex-Premier League experience. So that's quite invaluable. So when you look at it, it's a really good coaching team. And you know, the fact they've only really been in charge for 4.5, 5 months means they're still implementing what they want to do. And also, I didn't realise from reading reports, he's a very vocal person when it comes to instructions when the game's on. You kind of see Ange with a bit more of a stoic, hands in pockets, watching the game. You'll see Chris Davies absolutely bellowing at the players. He's a bit more of the vocal man between the two of them when it comes to game day. So he's really important, and I'm really glad. I feel sad for Swansea. Obviously, it would have been nice had this been maybe a year further on. Then I think Spurs might have been a bit more open to it. But right now, it kind of would be a situation where we'd be shooting ourselves in our own foot, you know. And to give you a heads up of what is to come today, obviously, the Spurs game's at 8:15, so I might try and get one out for, you know, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, something like that. It will probably be a bit of a longer one because there's a lot to talk about of other transfers. There's been some stuff that's come out. It flashed across my iPad, but I wasn't going to talk about in this video. Of other stuff that I really want to talk about that's very, very interesting. So stick around for that. And anyway, if you like this video, drop a like on the video if you did. Hit me in the comment section below your thoughts and feelings about, well, Chris Davies not moving to Swansea, but also not only that, Richarlison and what Spurs' stance is on him. Let me just see what you think about that. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the bell notification for more. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, guys.